Anyone? Asha, you were not there. No? Yesterday you didn't come join. No?
Yeah, sir, I didn't join yesterday.
Because you didn't know what you had some other
Uh,
works.
no, it didn't work for me. Sometimes it won't connect. Even today, I was trying so many times. Then only I got. Sometimes I don't know what happens. Yeah,
Okay. Connections. Yeah, sometime it.
yeah.
Ishara, you was there. No, you were there, but you went early. You disconnected early. I didn't see the after 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Were you there? It seems. Yeah. Hello, Ishara. Okay, that's fine. So we'll see how we can do the some validations related thing. Okay, when it comes to Rami, do you have any doubt from yesterday's one? So we'll do some validation related things when it comes to this form related thing. Okay, come to form related things. You have you actually want to insert vacha variable to student ID and student name will be again vacha, but the age is int and the address and course IDs also will be vacha, and this one will be in the byte format block. In the MySQL it's a block format. So let's say you enter an integer value. Let's say you enter an integer value here. Let's say you enter an integer value. Sorry. So here, even if I enter the integer value, it will take as a string from the text box. So actually that is not will not work. But we can restrict to string values. Like I can enter some integer values also. So likewise, let's say I'm entering a proper string value here, and student name something string, and age I'm entering a string value for the age, and address also string value, course ID is also, and adding. So, hello. So once I add the string value to the age, it gives an error. Can you see? Uh, this error shows it. Can you see the input string was not in the correct format? The when it comes to the the input string in the sense the input string of the query. Okay, when I add the database query, I send the string value, but it won't store the string value in the DB because Edge cannot accept string values. So that's what this input string was not in the correct format means. That means the input string that I'm sending to the database. So before I do I send the variables to database, values to the database, I can do some validations. Okay, so I can create some validations, my validation methods. Another example is, let's say, another example, you are not entering any value, you are not entering any value and clicking the add new button. You select the image that you are not entering any value and click the add new button. That also says the input string was not in correct format because we have not entered values in the boxes. So we can test if first we will validate if all values, all required values are filled. If not, we should not allow to send that value. It should not allow to send the value to the database side. We have to stop before sending. Before these errors are encountered, we have to stop these. So we have to restrict the using validation. So I can have a private method. Private bool method is empty or something. Private bool method is empty. By the way, were you able to see the screen, this running screen? I didn't ask. Hello, can you see the Visual Studio, everyone? Hello, hope everyone can see. Let's have it for the moment as well. So I've created a method which this method is one of the validation that we can use here, which is to identify um, what if a text box or whatever in the basically if a text box or any field that we have in the form, we can check if it's a required field. If it's a required field that we need to have, like such as student ID and student name, could be definitely the required fields. So in such case, we should not allow without any value to them. Even like student ID cannot expect blank value because it's a primary ID in the database side. So we should, the database also will not allow null values to the primary ID. The null values in the sense without any value, it won't allow uh, in the DB side also. So before we send, we have to validate all of those things. So this method actually finds like I'm creating a method for isEmpty and checking if the string in the let's say I'm providing string here and that value is null or empty. If a provided value is null or empty, it will pop up a message saying this field cannot be empty. So we'll see how we can use this in the our thing. Uh, so when we actually want to validate the fields, first we can have like this. Uh, we can use the isEmpty method and pass for an example we can pass pb student id dot text and I'm mentioning this is student id. Okay, so this will call the method with two parameters. One is the text box value, another one is the field name. What is the field name? So I'm sending the text box value and the field name student id field. So if we see, so without any, say I'm assigning an image, this also can be validated. So I'm assigning image but not entering the student id, so student id cannot be empty. So that kind of message we can pop up. So in this case it will not uh, we will not add that to the db. Okay, but here the code is executed. I will show how we can restrict. Likewise, is empty, we can have other variables also. Let's say tb student name dot text if I click student, if I enter something but I'm not entering, I'm not entering a value for the student name, but I have entered all the other things. If I click, you can see student name cannot be empty, message will come. Okay, so likewise we can get the error message. Likewise we can get the error message, but the program error is still there. Okay, I can further update this method now, and I realize like this I'll make this make as this string student ID and string student name. String age. So this signs means, that means this straight slashes means it checks it function as O condition in the programming C#. I think I have explained before also. If you put this one, it will consider it will consider this as an end sign. If you put this one, it will consider this as O. And string, I can check is null or empty, the age, or string null or empty. Okay, I'm checking either one of these is empty. If one of these is empty, I'm showing if I'm not allowing it to go inside. So I'm showing some message, relevant message. cannot provide empty values or something. Okay, cannot provide empty values. So I'm calling this method. I'm not going to call separately. I'm calling with uh, all the parameters together. So all parameters together. If I run the program, now you can see, let's say I'm not going to add values to this. I will just select an image. And if I enter add new, so cannot provide empty values. It shows cannot provide empty values. So it cannot provide empty values. That means let's say I'm entering 001, age I'm entering, course address I'm entering, but I'm keeping a course ID and the age without a value. So in that case also it will show an error because I'm using O condition, either one of these three. Address I'm not providing, like without the address also you can enter, but when it comes to this one, other variables, you have to have a value. So that's what I'm checking there. But they are coming because I'm allowing that to enter even without a value. So what you can do is you can also have this kind of thing. Let me show you a bit. In the UI, there's a thing called label. Okay. So in the label, I'm defining the error message rather than showing it in the message box. Okay, I'm predefining the error message. So you might have seen this kind of thing. So I'm predefining the error message. I'm predefining my message and you can give proper naming, kind of LBL, error, student ID or something, then it will be more understandable. Yeah, I'm just giving some names for the label. And I'm hiding the label. Is it? I'm making these three variables invisible. Okay, first when you load the screen, it will be invisible first. When you load the screen, it will be invisible. When you enter some incorrect value, so whatever the requirement, if you're not entering in as per the requirement, it will be shown. So I'm just uh, We'll make this as separate 4 values. Entering bool and return false. I'm having the same way here also. That means if null or empty, the student name is null or empty, I am making is filled boolean to false and returning the is filled boolean. Okay, and I can also, I'm having a label called label1 and visible. If it's false, like if there is no value, I can make it label1 visible true. So likewise, I can do for other variables also. Label2 visible, because in by default it is not visible. I'm making visible, and also returning is filled value. Okay. First of all, I'm going through each variable and checking if the variable is empty or is null or empty. If it's null or empty, I'm showing the warnings. That means the visible. I'm making the label visible, and assigning is filled into true. That means if uh, one of these field is not filled, we are not allowing to enter. Okay, so this returns a boolean value, and what I'm doing is, again, I'm sending the is empty method will return a boolean value. Okay, so if I can put if I can put if is empty is not, if is empty, I'll make it empty. Okay, it's empty. Okay, first I'm assigning is empties into false. That means the fields are not empty. If one of these fields found to be empty, I'm making as true. So I'm capturing it in the if method. So if method, like if it return true, that means one of these fields are empty. One of these fields are empty. So if is empty, I'm not doing anything. If it's not empty only, I'm putting this code here likewise. So can you see? So this one only at during this point only, if everything is filled only, this query will be executed. You can see, you can run and show you. So let's say I'm entering a 005 student name, 008 student name. Page. Course ID also I'm entering and sending a image also. So once I added this Raj will be there. Let's say I'm entering a student ID only. Name I'm not entering. Name not entering. Address not entering. Course ID. So when I click add new button, student name cannot be empty. Message will come. Why the other message is not coming? Let me check it. Course ID cannot be empty. Check again. If I click. others. Likewise, for others also it will show. For do you understand why it is showing for these two? So if I'm not entering student name, ID cannot be empty, student name cannot be empty, message is populating. So likewise, it has to show where I have the mistake or something. Sorry, this one. Yes, I did not rename the variables properly. Okay. Uh, so I'm not entering any value, and if you show, if you can see, this one will return the message. Okay, this is not now executing any database query because I'm restricting from here. If anything is empty, this is true, I'm not doing anything. Rather, I'm sending in the else query. So rather than doing this, I can make this in a one single block. So I can put this kind of thing and do this one. That means if is if one of these fields are empty, that will return true. If it's true, it will not go inside. If it's false only, it will go. That means I'm converting into negative. That means I'm inversing the Boolean status. If it is true, it will not go. If it is false only, it will go, because if it's false, if this one is false, if it's empty, this statement results are false, method results are false, and I'm converting into inverse. If it is false, it will be converted to true. Then only this block will be executed. Okay, now I can do the same thing. You'll get the same error message, and also it will not be executed, will not be sent to database. So this kind of thing also you can provide. It's the one of the first validation, I would say, like in order to check if field is empty or null or empty. Rather than using this method, like there is a way of doing, like you can check this way also. Just note down if you want, but now it is not really used. Okay, the same thing. This one means empty. That means student ID is equal to empty, or student ID equal to null. That means they have a method for that. Earlier they did not have. We can do this way also. Like if you want to check only the empty, you can use this one. If you want to check, like you want to add empty values but not the null values, you can send this one. Okay, this is a empty value and this is we call null. Okay, I'll show you the example. I'm not adding any values to the student ID, and I'm entering. So I'm not sending any values, okay, but it will not it will not show a message because I am entering the space. It's actually uh, it's actually not null, but uh, it is not actually empty or null because I am entering this one spaces here. Okay, so you will get only the other messages. So you can use either of the method to identify if a string is null or empty. Uh, there are some other ways to do this one. Uh, we can also check if you are entering in null value or if you are not entering an integer in the age. Okay, for that we can use another kind of a method if you want, like or you can do it in the same method. We'll have another method called private bool is integer or something. Give me 3 4 minutes, I'll come back. Okay, give me 3 4 minutes, I'll come back. Sorry guys, sorry. Okay, so we can check whether uh, the age is integer value or not. Okay, for that I can have another method. Okay, yeah. So private bool, and I'm checking int. I'm creating a temporary variable int age, and if sorry. int mm, I have to get a value from here, string age in string. I'm getting this age in string. That means whatever value that I got from the text box, integer text age text box, I'm passing directly to this method. And here I'm okay, let's string age as string or something. So I'm passing age as string, and outputting to age. So outputting age is a uh, integer variable, and see whether I'm able to pass. If I can successfully pass the whatever value I got from the string text box for the age, if I can successfully pass to age variable, I can put I can return uh, bool bool is int is true first. Yeah. I can assign is int to, if I'm able to pass, I'm not going to change anything. Okay, I can put is int is true. It's a, if it's a integer. If not, so it's not an integer. Okay, so I can do this way, or else I can do this way too. You can see I can directly put a this one inverse sign, and is can make is int false. Okay, and I return the is int boolean value. Okay, now I capture that in the method. First I execute if is empty, if everything is filled, and inside that I can put if is integer, is integer, is integer only, I execute this method and pass that which one age value here. Okay, I'm passing whatever I'm getting from the age text box as a string. That means I'm entering integer, but as a string I'm passing. And if it's true only, if it's true only means if it successfully can be passed, passed mean converting. Okay, and if it successfully can pass to an age variable, a kind of a integer variable, and if we are not able to pass, it will become false. So I'm returning false. If I'm able to pass, I'll be returning this block will not be executed, so I'll be returning true. Okay, so if is integer is true, only I'll be executing this method. So if you can see, I'm not entering any value, so this everything will be shown. Let's say I'm entering value. Show label 3 text. We'll create another label. We can use the same label also, but we'll create another label, and where I'm changing the text, age is not in integer. Age is not in integer, and having it in the same place, and in the command this one label 5, and this one label 3. I'm making visible equal to false. Label 4 visible equal to true. I'm hiding the label 3 and showing the label 5 if integer is not, if age is not an integer value. Okay, so I'm actually entering. Now if you can see, this will everything will be having uh, empty, cannot enter empty values error message. So let's say you are entering uh, student ID, student name is also fine, and age you are not entering anything, and address and course ID you are entering something, and browse also you are selecting an age, but the age cannot be empty, value will show, error message will be shown. And let's say if you are entering 10, then the record will be added, correct record will be added with the 0010, this record will be added. So let's say you are adding another value where student name something and age is like this, age is like this, not an integer value, and address you're entering something, and course ID also you're entering something. So now it will not be executed, but the error message will be converted, it will be shown as a age is not an integer value, age is not in integer, so you will not be proceeded with the database query. Okay, that's the second validation that we can do, checking whether the variables are in the correct format. So likewise you can test for the string also. There's one new method of checking this type or something. So this is one way of doing the validation of integer. There's one more. There is one new method. Okay, you just search. There's one more method called like uh, where you convert the integer uh, like this. I think if I'm using age as string and get the type of it, I'm checking whether it equals to the type of the integer. Integer. There's one more method. You can search like input validation or something on the Google search. You will get the respective there's one more method whether how checking with the okay, there's one more method you can search. I think you can find out get type. Okay, yes, I can remember. Like this something I can't remember actually. Uh, There's one more method of search, validating the integer. Okay, apart from this, you can check that out. Uh, and let's say I'm not choosing an image. Okay, I'm not choosing an image from the, without choosing the image. I'm uh, without choosing the image, I'm sending the database query. That one also we can validate. Okay. Uh, the same way, same method we can use this kind of method. Private. Private is picture empty or something. Empty. I'm sending the image path. Sorry, just a second. I'm going to add in the same method itself. Okay. I'm going to check if string dot image path string dot is null empty for the image path. That means image no image was chosen. If then it will be a null or empty. Then I'm going to not going to show a label, rather I'm going to show the message box and choose a picture or something. Okay. Message box dot shows choose a picture error message I'm showing, and I have to send the without even I can do that one. See, I'm entering something for student ID name, okay, age, course ID, but I'm entering at new without this one. So I'll be shown choose a picture, and the database query will not be executed. Okay, if it's only everything successfully added only, we will add to the database. Okay, then only we will add to the database. If something was not chosen, then we will not add. And also, like, you can use this kind of thing where let's say after you successfully add something, if you want to clear the text box fields, so you can have a method uh, private void clear values. Okay, now you can clear all the values, text box, tb, address dot text, tb add, tb age, text, tb post id, tb student id. Picture box or something. So this is actually kind of once you successfully added, you clear the values in the this one. Okay. Add a picture. I think it's in the same primary digits as first. Same student ID first. Okay. So I forgot to include that in the button click. So once you insert the query, once query insertion is successful, then you can load the grid and clear values. So you can use the clear values method. That means once you added this information and choose an image, see. So once you added this, once you added successfully, once you have added the information successfully, it will clear the text box or whatever values. values in the so once you add it, it will be added to the database, but it will be removed from the text boxes. So you can proceed with entering new values. Okay. And if you want to handle the exceptions for this, let's say I'm going to add an I student ID which is already there in the DB. Okay. So this student ID is already there in the DBS 001. Okay, if I add, I'll get this one. I'll get an error. So duplicate entry A001 for key student primary. So this is the SQL exception. So I can capture any SQL exception and show it in the UI. Okay. So this is what exception handling. So you now know the what is the exception. Uh, Exception is MySQL client, MySQL exceptions. Okay. Then what you need to show is, so what you can do is you can put this try, you can put the try catch here. Okay. uh, you can put try and put the if condition everything within the try. Or else, okay, don't complicate it. What you can do is you can come to forms and you can add this one inside the try. MySQL exception EX. Okay. And you can put all these things inside the try, and if you capture any, if you encounter any exception, you can capture in the catch block. Okay, let's see how I'm going to do this one. So you can put same student ID and student name, age, something, integer, address, side, and you enter. So now you do not, you will not be, the program will not be stopped, but you get the exception in the message box. So you can either show it in the message box, so you can show it as a label. So this program will not be stopped now. What we are doing is we are passing whatever exception into catch block where we will catch the message rather than stopping the program. See, so this kind of things we can do. So this is the use of the try and catch block. Uh, Now most of the exceptions are handled. That means like user inputs, user mistakenly adding. So let's see here. I'm exceeding the, I'm defining, if you can remember. So if you look student table, I have defined only 5 characters to the student ID. Okay, only 5 characters, vachas. So vacha size is 5. So let's say I'm entering more than 5 characters. Even then I get the, I'm capturing all the MySQL exception. So this time the exception is different, but we also you get an exception in a different way. The data too long for column student ID of row 1. Okay, so like that you will get the respective message if you use the proper catch, try catch blocks. Give me a minute, okay. So you can see the proper type, proper message. Uh, so what else we can see in the, so now we mostly will not encounter any user related input errors. See this kind of things and everything is now handled. So likewise you can see do for the deletes also. The table not updating thing I have not fixed it yet. Okay, so likewise so I'm selecting this. Okay, so you can try to complete this update also. Let's I have entered the image during the insert query only. Okay, update and all I have not done. The insertion of image I have not done for update, and the delete record don't need. So update record you can complete with the image. Same thing, same way you can pass the query, and in the queries class also same way you can update the record. Yeah, update student, set name, student name, OH. Yeah, I have this image filter also. So like then this you can have it in this way at sign with the at sign as I told. Okay. So here we are converted to that sign parameters names. So you can convert, you can change this one is also in that way and keep on doing. Okay, rather than having this plus sign, you can have it that way and do. Uh, what validation we can do further. So let's, if you see the in the try catch, most of the things are completed. Like for most of the database errors, if anything encountering in our code, it will show the message. Rather, you can also have multiple catch blocks. As I told before, like if you have found, if you are encountering different issues, you can still use multiple catch blocks in order to catch multiple exceptions. So, do you have any doubts till so far? From so far, what I've done,
No, sir.
I know. This one I didn't. Hello. Hello, yes, someone wants to talk? No. Okay.
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay. Mm, just what validations, what I'm thinking of the things we encounter other than this load grid one, uh, because I didn't try that one yesterday. Too much of office work since we are working from home. Now it's like 7 days of works. Uh, so if you can see, yeah, I'm entering student ID and age, student name. So here I didn't get any message or anything. Uh, okay, did you see what I entered? What I have entered? Student ID I have entered. Student name I have entered. Age I have entered in integer. Address I did not enter. I selected image and added. So here I didn't encounter any issue because for the address I do not have any validations. Even the null values you can send to the address. If you see in the database side, you can see the last it's ordered in this one. So these records do not contain address. Okay. Can you send null values for the student ID? Can you send a student ID without a value? Hmm?
No, sir, can't.
Why?
Because it's a unique ID, right?
Yeah, it's a primary key, so we can't. Yeah, we can't send a blank value. Even though if we even if we have removed that validation, we can't say. Now we have the validation, so we are not sending to the database side. But even though if you can send, you will get an error. Okay, you can't send. So likewise, you can do this one. Uh, Still, I haven't found that problem. Do you have anything more to be clear out, or what? I'm thinking of what validations we can do. So for an example, if you're when you develop the system, let's say you select a record and press delete. Okay, when you press delete, rather than deleting directly, or you can either ask a you can show a confirmation pop-up, and then delete. So if you in the confirmation pop-up, you will get a yes or no, that kind of selection. If you press yes only, it will be selected. Likewise, you can do. Okay. This full image we can show. There are some image kind of settings also for the image. Now it's fully not showing. No, there are settings. You can go through this one. You can identify what is that settings. Uh, Uh, Also, you can do like when it comes to uh, a real system with the database. Like, this is actually a kind of I don't know how uh, how extent you know in the database. Let's say I have a student table right now, and I'm having the course ID. Okay, when I create this, answer me if you know. Course ID I'm entering. Let's say I'm going to. So I don't know what is the course details. So are you going to enter the course details when you enter like it's imagine it's a student management system, so you enter the student details and you enter the course ID, but other details are not captured in terms of the course. So where do you add that? uh, because I'm not capturing it here, so do I need to add other text boxes uh, to have the course detail? Let's say course ID, I'm having another label for the course uh, name and a text box, course lecturer and a text box, uh, course department, IDM business department kind of thing. So those details are not captured here. So where do you capture? Here or somewhere else? Usually when it comes to a best practice. Hello.
Sir?
So where do you capture
Different
these
table,
things?
sir.
Hmm?
In a different table.
Yeah, we should have a different table. So now the different table, uh, for an example, now the different table will be uh, table for the course details. Okay, that table will all the course details. Now, anyway, you actually uh, want to show the course ID or you want to enter the course ID. Okay. Now what you do here, you actually type the course ID, uh, like let's say, how do you link this course ID with the that table course information? Now this is two different tables, course student and course. Student and course are two different tables, but course ID is stored here. Okay, how do you link this course ID with the course table? Do you know? So now they are,
Foreign key.
yeah, so you have to link through the foreign key. Yes, you're correct. So you have to link through the foreign key and have the foreign key reference when you create the tables. Uh, and what I recommend is, so when you create the student table or something or whatever that kind of thing you encounter, wherever you encounter, you have a drop down rather than like we call it as a combo box. Yeah, combo box or something. Yeah, combo box, and you can load the course ID to the combo box. Okay, so it will actually read from the this table, course table, and load all the course IDs to the combo box. So when you create the student, you can directly once everything is loaded, so you will directly have a list of course IDs, and you can directly, rather than having the text box, you can have only the course ID drop down and assign that to the student ID table. Okay, so this will make this will be a less error prone, because otherwise if you allow the user to enter the course ID, they might mistakenly enter they might enter something else which is not in the database, and it sometimes gives errors. So these are the things that you can eliminate when you do the development. This kind of thing, you can have a drop down, and so there are some UI principle based on the application. So before you do the applications, uh, just get the requirement and just see all the requirements, and also all the fields that database going to have, all the columns that database going to have, and how the database going to be designed. So first you actually design the database, and then uh, create tables. Then you can come to this programming part. This is the usual, like, it's not the recommended way, but it's the usual way in this stage. Because if you start changing the database, it will be a mess, because you have to change all the UIs and all. Uh, and don't have this close connection button and all, because that I actually showed you in order to implement it, in order to show you the implementation. Okay. And browse also, this browse image of, for this you can actually load a default image and show. Likewise, that profile image or something, in order to show that this is there will be an image here kind of thing. So either you can put a border, or you can add a profile image, that user image icons you see, user icon images. So those things you can add, so that will show the users of the system that there will be an image. So this kind of thing you can have. And for edit, delete, remove, so add, delete, and update, you can use different colors of button. But when you when you what you call, when you add the add, delete, update button, have it in the consistent color. Okay, don't change page to page. So those are the things, small things, that those are the UI related things, might affect the user experience or something. So you have, if you are doing the Windows page, you have a title here, what the page actually does. And the most important thing, yes, just search on this one. Okay, this will be most one of the important thing in the UI perspective. this kind of things that you can do. So you can actually have it in the tab. So one tab is for student information, or the other tab is for something else. So if you register student in the student information, so first step you can use into enter the students uh, basic information. The second step you can have to store what we call education related uh, informations, and the other one is for the security or whatever, if you're giving password for the login. So those things you can configure. So you can have different tabs and have the same thing developed. Okay, so when it comes to tab, there are some different kind of codes are there in order to uh, code for this program separate into separate tabs in the separate tabs. So you can search that. So that tab is a way of doing the things right. Okay, so that you can use. And tooltip also you can use, like in the UI you can use some tooltips. uh, you can link the tooltips to button. I'm not sure about the code. There are some codes where you can refer small things. Those are, so you can link the, you also that might have, you can link the tooltip to a button or whatever action. So before user do something, user know this is what this action will do, this is what this button will do. So that kind of thing. And panels also you can use panels. And panels becomes like you can separate the things, you can group the things through the panels. Okay, you can group the things using the panel. So uh, so those are the basic things you can do. Like if you start, once you start doing these things, ask me, I'll explain if anything, if any problem you encounter during when you develop. Also this concentrate on this database side. Okay, so that is bit crucial when it comes to this project, I think, because this subject doesn't include, but you have to know this database side as well in order to develop these things. Uh, those are the concerns of me. Do you have any questions? Next week, if we have the class, we'll do as a revision. Like if you have a question, please, I'll not be doing any uh, because I have completed most of the things. If I have missed anything, just let me know, uh, so I can do, like if you want to revise anything, let me know, I'll go through again, because I think I mostly have completed everything which is in the syllabus. And this, if you start developing only, you realize those small things I cannot uh, uh, practically show you how everything works, because like it will take the entire time. another 5 or 10 classes extra. So that is not going to work. You have to try. Okay. Yes, okay, right. That's all. I'll anyway send this project to you. Project to everyone, the updated one, and I fixed that grid problem tomorrow. Today also I cannot fix it. Tomorrow, day after, day after tomorrow, and send you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So next week, like, be prepared for any questions if you have. Okay. Uh, I think I have covered anything. Like, I'll by that anyway. Also I will find, like, if I missed anything. If I found anything, I'll let you know, and I'll prepare a slide and teach you. But meantime, you be prepared. You all be prepared to ask any questions. Okay, in terms of theory or practical. So we can, if you, like, let's say you have started doing development, and if you encounter problem, that also you can ask. That's the best way, I think. Okay. Okay, then thank you. I'll send this application to you. Okay.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Okay, bye.